Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. I wanted to talk about the problem of evil, or at least the problem with the problem of evil. I do believe that the problem of evil is one of the most logical explanations for the existence of God that has come out of philosophy. It's one of the most. I mean, it's not, the. And and it has also been pretty much withstood the test of time ever since it was conceived by Epicurus. But it still becomes an unsatisfactory argument for people, especially for theists. Because there are theists out there that make excuses for this stuff that are just so bogus, but they keep them constantly. They don't go for any form of refinement on them. And then there's, and if you want to know, CDK 007's problem with evil is one of my atheist points that I have in my playlist. So yeah, it's under atheist points in the playlist. But anyway, and then there are other theists that actually take an honest route and state that they just don't know why God would allow evil into this world, being omniscient, omnipotent, and omnibenevolent. And I think I have my opinion on why it becomes so unsatisfactory, no matter how logical it is. And that's due to us as being Homo sapiens to be an emotional species. And that some of us are really so emotional that we really cannot take, in a way, our emotions. Because when we see evil, from whatever perspective, we see evil in, people become really quite emotional with it when they see the evil. And I think that when they see this evil, it just really hurts them so bad that most of the time, or some of the time, individuals get so obsessed with this that they just cannot deal with reality. They cannot deal with the reality that evil does exist and that they cannot really do much about it. That they need some sort of emotional release. And unfortunately, religion provides that. So usually they would go to religion for that. And it comes down to a point into their lives of whether or not they would decide what makes them feel comforted and what makes them feel or accept the truth. So it's either what makes you feel comforted or accept the truth. And many people kind of decide to make that decision. And that's my point, and I do believe that. I also want to talk about the Glenn Beck. I don't hate Glenn Beck because I do believe in most of his libertarian views. But when he says something stupid, I'm going to actually try to state something about that. And it's the time when he winds up talking about when he has the snuff film on his show. That's also in one of my atheist points when Thunderfoot talked about it. But I'd like to talk about it, and I like to talk about it when he was explaining the time when this kid got hit by a rod, and people were filming it and such like that, and he was getting all this really huge waft of emotions, and he says that the reason why we have this is because we're godless. That this is why it happened. This is why it happened. We're godless. That's it. And of course, I don't really think that I believe that. But I find it really quite stupid in that sense. But anyway. Of course, because I'm an atheist. But my thing is that when he gets into this kind of concept of really calling people evil who partook into the crime of killing that person, and people who are evil who didn't even help him out and didn't look like they were, caring or emotional. I have to tell you, I do agree with him. I do classify that as evil. I do believe that you are evil if you partake into the crime of murder, and you are evil if you do not help individuals out who are being murdered. But there's a little bit of a problem, because making this concept debunks the concept of God. Debunks it in a way that you're calling God evil unintentionally. Because if you classify individuals as being evil because they, one, go out and perpetrate murder, or are the perpetrators of murder, or two, wind up doing nothing to stop the murder from happening, the problem is that God does that exact same thing too. If you wind up looking at the God of the Bible or the God of pretty much any of the Abrahamic texts, you would realize that God kills other people and murders them for certain particular types of crimes that even us as libertarians don't call crimes. They're victimless, and they don't deserve to die. But God has killed people for them. That's one. Two, the second one, is that God has also, where was God when, this guy was getting hurt and beaten and killed? Where was he? Sitting on his throne doing nothing. And you have classified that as being evil as well. So unintentionally, Glenn Beck, you have actually called God evil. I know that you didn't mean to, but you unintentionally did. And that's pretty much it. And I do thank you for your time, and have a nice day.